Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. We are going to spend our time today reflecting on Todi Mahalla Panjama, a passage of 6 lines composed by the 5th Nanak, Guru Arjan. And in just 6 lines, the Guru has compressed an entire cosmology, a complete account of how beings come into existence, and then describes the seeker's experiential entry into that relationship. We are going to spend a little bit of time on the Rahau, especially around the words Anugraha and Sada, which you will encounter, because conventional translations have a different take from how we understand the Sabad. So let's begin. Todi Mahalla Panjama. Todi, a morning rag. The mood is one of yearning, a turning toward the beloved. And the first line of the Rahau, Har Har Naam Sada, Sad Jaap. Har Har Naam Sada, Sad Jaap. So the conventional reading of this line translation is, among other, generally speaking, forever and ever chant the name of Hari, Hari. The word chanting is used quite frequently in conventional greetings, in traditional translations rather. The way we have looked at it is, translated this, is the wisdom of Har is everywhere present. Har, everywhere, is Har Naam. The wisdom of the Har, the self, is present everywhere. Sada, Sad, Sada, continually, eternally, it resounds. Sad, Sad is to a call. It is actually sound. So it is Sada, Sad. The wisdom of Har is everywhere present as the Sabad, the eternal Sabad. It resounds eternally. And the last word is Jaap. Stay with that sound, stay with the Sabad, stay attuned with that Sabad. Be in awareness of that Sabad. So you will notice here how conventional translations have lost the meaning of this by just saying forever and forever chant, treating this line as a devotional instruction. But the doubling Sada Sad carries another resonance entirely. So, linguistically, Sada and Sabad come from different Sanskrit roots, but spiritually, in this tradition, they've been heard in the same sonic field. And then there is the other verb, Jaap. It is a verb here. It is no longer chanting in the active sense of I chant the name. Jaap becomes receptive participation. So, Sabad Guru Surat Dhun Chela. That's the idea. Attentive consciousness tuned into its tone, own tone, which is the Sabad. That is what we have to think of. The second line, Vrahao, Dhar Anugraha Parabram Swami Vasdi Kini Aap. Now the conventional translation says something like this: bestowing His grace, the Supreme Master has himself populated this dwelling. Now, first off, we avoid genderizing the self. So the way we read this line, having established its gracious creative intent as Par Brahm, it brought this existence into being as its master. There is a distinction being made here. This is two sides of the same coin. So anugraha in traditional accounts is compassion, but it also means creation. It also means intent. Anugraha here is technically active. It is the grammar of creation. So it creates, but as an intent. It is nirgun as Parabrahm. The intention is there. Then it creates Vasdi Kini Aap as Swami. Then it becomes the master. So this is basically the way cosmology is being explained. So in the Indian tradition, anugraha is one of the 5 primal activities of the divine creator. There is anugraha, the intent, srishti, the creation, sthiti, the preservation, and then dissolution. So you see how it works. It is the unveiling and the revealing. That is how Har Anugraha works. Parabrahm being the void of self-absorption, Sun Samad. We see this in Maru Mahalla Pehla as well, Arbad Narbad Tandukara. So that is where Parabrahm is. There is intent, but revelation has not begun. That begins as Swami in a relational form. And Vasdi Kini Aap, Vasdi is stabilization. It stabilizes creation. So the Rahav is saying, according to our translation and understanding, that the wisdom of the Har is in the Sabad. The Sabad resounds eternally. So let it sound through you. Let your surat be the chela. This Har that is present is first established through the Parabrahm, the transcendent, the Nirgun. The intent arises there, Pana arises within the Sun Samad, and then it is brought to revelation as Swami. So these 2 lines effectively explain the idea of Sikh cosmology. And now what is our relationship? So in the first verse after the Rahav, the line is, Jiske se phir tin hi samhale, bin se sog santap, jiske se. Jiske se, to the one we belong. Tin hi samhale, that very one cherishes us. And it is the one who dissolves our sorrow and suffering. So, the cosmology has been established. So the sabad now is explaining the seeker's experiential entry into dwelling. So, recognition of whom we belong to. Jiske se, whose we are or whose we belong to. So, the seeker, the Sikh, recognizes itself as belonging to this master, to this Swami. Not as a possession in the way that you would understand it, but as part of what the Parabrahm brought into being. So the recognition is structural. You understand what your structure is. I came from this. I belong to this. Tin hi samale. And then you realize that that very one will cherish us and take care of us. Bin se sog santape. Meaning, you learn how to deal with the ups and downs of life. And how does the Har do it? The next line. हाथ दे राखे जन अपने हर होए माई बाप. By extending its hand, protecting its jan, the beings, it is like father and mother. So the Swami is not distant. It is very close, constantly bending to hold us. Har hoye mai baap. The concluding verse, Ji jant hoye meherwana daya dhari harinath. Ji jant hoye meherwana. Meherwana, forgiving, graceful. It pours forth its compassion onto its creation. Nanak saran pare dukh panjan, Jaka bad pratap. Nanak seeks the sanctuary of that dukh panjan, destroyer of suffering, whose glory is vast. Saran pare is how the sabad concludes. It's not running to a shelter, it is being in that shelter. We are sheltered at all times. So the Rahau here holds the architecture of the Sabad. The eternal Sabad is the medium. Anugraha, the cosmologic principle out of which the Sabad acts. And we have a connection with the Sabad. And connecting, recognizing the Sabad is called Saran, falling into refuge. So falling into what always is. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.